Virtual systems ready.
Alright guys, Brocket here. I'm bringing you a deck profile. This time it is on my Blast Burn deck. This has got to be probably the grossest deck of the format, if not second worst, next to just pure stall. Let's go ahead and get into this burn deck. Now this one, the main card we're using here is Blast Burn. It's the name of the deck, Blast Burn, or Blast Sphere. This card is really hard to get around. If it gets attacked when it's face down, it just automatically equips to your opponent's monster. And then during their next standby phase, it blows up, and they take whatever that monster's attack was as damage. They gotta find a way to get rid of it after it's equipped, because it's a lot of damage really fast. Next up, we're running 2 Spear Kribos. Seemed fitting. Blast Sphere, Spear Kribo. Sure, why not? And plus, battle traps are all over the place, with Night Beam also all over the place. It's good to have a hand trap. Next up, we got 2 Amazoness Swordswomans. Amazoness Swordswoman's great because you can just put her out there in attack mode, and any battle damage she's involved with, your opponent takes instead of you do. So it's really great. Oh, and by the way, the skills, there's 3 skills. We'll get into those at the end. Next up, we got a Iron Blacksmith Kotatsu. We do run 1 equip card in this, 3 copies of it, so it helps us search it. Also, if you don't know, well, I'll go ahead and show you that the equip card will be Mask of the Accursed. Really important to keep Mask of the Accursed in place, so we also play a Magician of Fate in case the Mask of Accursed gets destroyed. And then just to be extra annoying, or anything that we just don't want to deal with, we run 1 Man-Eater Bug. You could run more, but we actually like your opponent to have monsters, so we can just burn them to death. We also have a Black Stego in the deck. Just because it gets to a certain point where your opponent just thinks you have a Blast Sphere down all the time, you set a Black Stego. One of the ways to get around Blast Sphere is to attack it with a low attack monster. If they run into Black Stego, like checking for Blast Sphere, it could probably do more damage than Blast Sphere would do himself. Finally, a new addition to this deck, we added a Dark Red Enchanter, because it does seem like our opponent can't really kill our monsters a lot of time, or they don't want to try to. So we can just sack it off for Dark Red Enchanter and start getting rid of cards in their hand, because install, your opponent usually just sits there waiting for their combo pieces, so this will help with that. And yeah, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. We got the 3 Masks of the Accursed. This will help the Dark Red Enchanter get spell counters, but mostly it is here to do all of our burn damage. When your opponent doesn't want to attack into Blast Sphere, we just set the mask on them. Really, the only way to play around this deck is to not ever play a face-up monster. So, game 1, it's pretty rough on them, and then they kind of figure it out. But to go with Amazoness Swordswoman, which we would poke at them with, we also run 2 Half Shuts. Half Shut is really good with Amazoness Swordswoman. You can half her attack to attack into a defense monster, do a lot of damage, or when your opponent tries to attack and remove the Swordswoman, you can Half Shut and burn them for a lot. Now this is next card, let's see, is a Heatwave. This could be a 3rd Amazon, or a 3rd Half Shut if you need to side it out. But this deck doesn't care about setting monsters. In fact, it sees it as buying us a turn. So if we have Mask out there and they're burning, and they're not running a normal monster deck, then Heatwave's really good. It just makes them so they can't do anything for a turn, and they have to take that mandatory burn damage from the Mask if they can't find a way to get it off. And then finally, we're running 2 Shallow Graves. I was running this at 3, but it seemed a bit much, because after a while the board kind of fills up with monsters and you can't keep using it. But this is really good with the Blast Sphere. Your opponent attacks the Blast Sphere, it equips. Next turn it blows up, goes to the graveyard, their monster goes to the graveyard. Boom, Shallow Grave. Let's do all that again. So you just resummon it and set it. Yeah, this deck's also running the trolley pink sleeves. It's not a fun deck to play against. So let's go over this real quick. For the skill, like I said, it's kind of versatile with what skill you can play. You can play pretty much any skill. I found Destiny Draw to be a good skill because if you ever manage to take 2,000 damage, then you can just search for whatever card you need, be it a Mask, be it a Blast Sphere, be it an Amazon, a Swordswoman. Yeah, it's good. Get whatever you need. Before that, I was testing out Millennium Necklace. Millennium Necklace is really good because it pretty much, when your opponent is all set up with Mask and they need a card to get rid of it, Millennium Necklace will help make sure your opponent doesn't draw a card they need and kind of just make them burn longer. The other skill option is actually in the side deck. Let me go down to the side deck over here. So I don't really have a finalized side deck except for this card over here. Sort of Deep-Seated would be in the side deck because you can use it with Viral Infection, because your opponent will learn to play against burn is to just stall and never play a monster or anything. So once your board gets set with a lot of defense and your opponent's not doing anything, they're just stalling, you can just use Viral Infection to keep discarding this sort of Deep-Seated, because it says place this card on top of your deck. Let's see, if this card is sent to your graveyard, place it on top of your deck. So you just discard it with Viral Infection, it goes back on top of your deck. You'll never deck out, so your opponent can't deck you out now, and Viral Infection will keep hitting cards out of their deck, so you're probably going to deck them out faster than they'll deck you out. Actually, it'll be almost impossible for you to deck out if you're playing sort of Deep-Seated, so that's why that's in the side deck as a skill. Yeah, it's a real nasty deck. I'm trying to upload a bunch of deck profiles. I decided to start with this one because there was some talk about stall decks being a problem, so this is my version of that. We'll move on and I'll bring you some other deck profiles. I know I had some requested from a while back and I'll probably get to those now. But that's it for this video. Blast Burn. So that's it. You guys take care. Check my links in the description. I've been Rocket.
Virtual systems ready.